It's time to turn this blank green canvas into something really cool, like this wonderful king penguin habitat, which is actually eco-friendly. But how we got there and what's the plan behind this, you'll learn in today's video. So let's get going. So this habitat has been a very hard challenge, and there are many reasons for that, which we'll get to in a second. But before we start, we do have a little message from the sponsor, and fear not, we have to integrate that today because there are some really good games coming up I'm gonna talk about in a second. Special thanks to our sponsor of today's video and the sponsor of the channel. Instant Gaming is a wonderful platform on which you can get your favorite games to a great value. Here you've got 24/7 support, you've got over 10,000 games at your hand, and you can find them very simple via a search bar, just like our Planet games over here. Or if you fancy, have a look at Cities, for example. Everything is here, including all the DLCs you wish to have. So special thanks again to Instant Gaming. Link is in the description if you want to grab a game. Please click there and have fun. I think it's no secret that Assassin's Creed just dropped and you get some good value on that one, but also City Skylines is around the corner, so if you want to pre-order that one, you can find everything in there. So actually, I'm still very happy that Instant Gaming is a sponsor of the channel because it makes sense. But now I don't want to annoy you too much with that. Let's talk about the big challenge. Number one, and this is a king penguin in Sicily. Full stop. Let alone the fact that we have such an Arctic animal, or like, let's say, just in general, cold weather animal, in a region that usually is super sunny and super warm, I should say. Now, the problem I have is obviously that I want to make this zoo also kind of profitable in a way that it is not only working because the owner is super rich or whatever and can do loss wherever he wants. No, this should actually be a project in which things are working rather well, because as we set out to have the whole story around a an investor who wants to make a profitable but yet great zoo, and working with the local environmental circumstances rather than fighting them, actually working with them, I set out to make this habitat eco-friendly, which I think is in general something that you guys seem to like at the moment as a challenge, and I found this is way overdue that I do this in here as well. So what I did is I kind of did several things. You've seen already in the background, you can still see that we have already quite some solar panels in the background over here. Usually there should be more, and maybe we'll do this in the future. I'm still not the biggest fan of the in-game solar panel. I mean, I get it, you know, we've got this solar array, but if you are anywhere into solar in a way, just in general, you know that one panel wouldn't do the job, you know, not at all. You could maybe like power like a, I don't know, lantern from that or whatever for the whole day, but that's about it. So these 6 panels obviously realistically wouldn't even be remotely enough to power this entire house over here. But in order to add to that, you can see this roof design, which was harder than you think and took longer than you think. This is the final version, the one I'm going with. I had some Frankenstein versions of that one, which I totally disliked, and so I completely got rid of them. But I even got rid of the footage. It was awful. Don't get me wrong, but it just was super awful. And the design I went for as a final version is quite cool. I'm still debating with myself if it's 100% a Zoo Sicily vibe, but it's very hard to change that one. Maybe I'll do in the future, but I think the way I embedded it at the end of the episode, and you'll see if you stick with me, you'll see how we do this, and there are some really cool inventions I made this time, which I haven't come up earlier, so I have some new things finally at hand for you. So you'll see how I made sure that this somehow works, and I'm a fan of that. But back to the solar panels, just to fight the problems we would have with this habitat. Let's go through them. As I said, this was one of my hardest habitats in a while, simply because I wanted to make it work with the given circumstances. Now, king penguins do request quite a cool area. So for the internal area, so for the interior, that usually isn't too much of a challenge because, you know, you can put down coolers, you just need energy for that, some cooling water, some water purification, blah, blah, blah. That's something zoos all over the world can do already pretty nicely. But in order to make sure that you have the most of the energy provided, I created this specific roof with the plants growing on top of it. This provides a very natural isolation and insulation for making sure that the energy used is actually used in the proper way, so you do not lose too much of the cooling effect you've in there. So in both directions, so the heat is not heating up the building too much, so you don't need that much power to cool it down. And once it's cooled down, the cold stuff should not leave, and so the roof also keeps it rather in there. I do admit that at the end of the episode we do not have functioning doors. I would love to have had some airlocks instead of the openings over here, but as you know how the game works, we still need some traversable area. I could have gone for these kind of plastic doors that move, or like these PVC ones, but they're kind of ugly, they're kind of big, and they also cause some issues, so I did not use them over here. I went design over functionality at this point, simply because we would need to design an actual airlock that would then just not work because the animals and also equally the keeper could not go through. Now, as I said, you need all the energy, and the solar panels are just like, they are basically symbolic, okay, for like a proper solar station over there. And as I said, maybe in the future we'll get there and make some more panels into it to make it actually one. And we also would need like a bigger battery pack that I don't have in here quite yet. I really would love to see more games come up with battery packs. Like, we've got so many games nowadays that feature solar energy, but mostly none of them feature actual battery storage systems. And you don't, batteries are not always the typical batteries. It could also be like a gravity battery. It could also be like a water pump battery. Like, there are several ways to store renewable energy. And I'm very happy that at least City Skylines 2 will feature a battery pack as like addition to solar and wind energy that you will require to make your city run at night, for example. But yeah, back to the habitat. This was the first big challenge. The second big challenge I had is to really juggle the pieces I wanted to use in here, specifically the rocks and the style of the rocks. Now, as you do know, that Sicily has all these kind of white, I forgot again which material that is again, but these rocks, like, very symbolic for the region there. I wanted to mix them in with also some other ones. Obviously, these rocks are not the ones that the penguins live on, but paired with some snow effects and so on, I thought it kind of works, and I do admit it works, it does work, so it's actually cool. But obviously we also needed these underwater viewing domes, and as I've already said to you guys in the overview video of the last DLC, they are kind of a little problematic because they are needy when it comes to space and how they work. But I mean, I'm glad that Frontier fixed the flexicolor issue, so I could finally recolor them properly. But yeah, I needed to make sure that they are all like kind of equally elevated and made sure that everything looks kind of realistic. And the whole idea about the habitat is that it actually is super layered anyways, because we put it into the mountainside, or hillside I should say. It's not really properly a mountain, it's a hill, but the hill itself offers like a lot of good things for this habitat. Specifically, and now we're back at the problematic side of things, we have the backstage area for the animals, which is only implied, but you'll see that at the end in the real-time part. This one is actually inside of the hill, which makes sense in a lot of ways. So it's very good to hide away from the people, so you keep kind of the illusion going with that wonderful open habitat. But then you also have this inside of the mountain, so the cooling efficiency is maxed out because, sun and stuff wouldn't do too much about it. So that makes a lot of sense. I also wanted to make the habitat very interesting for the people to look at, so it should have different layers, and that is where obviously the hillside comes in handy yet again, so that you have like a lower down viewing gallery, which is like slightly lower down for the guest, but actually you still have to go up there to go there. So you have to really play with the elevations to have different viewing angles at the habitat. And yet again, a little teaser to stick with me throughout the episode. There is going to be very much a very cool tour at the end. You will see how the different angles work together properly. I'm a big fan of how that worked out. It looks super cool. It looks fantastic. The new fur variants, by the way, just kind of make it like a new animal. I honestly love this new king penguin. It's not new, but with all the new fur variants, it kind of feels like a new species. Also, I'm sorry for my cracking voice. Not sure what's going on. It's getting colder. I guess my body is like, yeah, now your voice has to crackle. I'm still fully healthy, so that should be the deal. But yeah, now we get to the third big issue I had, and this is the styling inside of Sicily. This was potentially the hardest task for me in a while. I got some comments about the last episode, the orangutan habitat, that it didn't feel too Sicily vibe, which Honestly, I could not really understand that well because it is still based on a lot of issues. I do admit that I might have used a couple too many of the Scots pine, so I got rid of those and exchanged them with a couple of more Sicilian looking trees. It was a bit of a hard challenge to exchange them simply because the Scots pines are just awesomely perfect in size and how they look. But it's fixed now, so you'll see that in a future video I already prepared. You'll see. Be excited for that one. I have another video for this weekend. Hopefully I'm gonna share that with you. It's super cool, so keep your eyes peeled on the channel for that one. It's actually something different this time around, but it's very nice. But yeah, speaking of these comments, I wanted to make sure this time that is a lot more embedded into the Sicilian style. And I have to say, I don't know, you have to comment, you have to tell me in the comments. It was super hard because of that modern building vibe I went for, which was intentional, and I do think this would be one of the more modern builds in this entire zoo anyways. One of the latest additions in our like saga, if you will, and it caused some issues. I think the biggest issue I still have with it is the form factor of the roofing. I kind of wanted to go with these kind of rounded, almost like pizza piece tent vibes, and because of the form factor of a tent, which works super well for these type of habitats and especially interiors, and it also is a bit more interesting to look at. But then again, it just kind of doesn't really resemble any of the Sicilian design styles, at least not that I can come up with. It was more like of a choice that I went for. So, you know, realistically, I should have gone for a different style of the roof, and also with the kind of wood in the middle. It would be cooler to have like some terracotta tiles on top of it. I tried my best using the clay roof pieces, but we do not have a non-grid piece for that. So that was a struggle I couldn't win, and I ended up using something else for that. So yeah, I am like, let's say 85% happy. I'll definitely need your feedback. I have some ideas how to make it even more Sicilian vibe. Like, I think we need to get more cacti in. I think we need to get more decals in to make it a bit more used looking. Definitely what will help is also to get some more shrubbery to the ground. I didn't want to put any trees in the habitat specifically, simply because that is like, you wouldn't have that. Also because we are using coolers over there, that wouldn't be too healthy for the animals. But one thing I did, and this is one of the inventions I came up with, and I saw that in one of the urban. I did some research for upcoming City Skylines videos once we have the game. I did some urban research, and I came across something that obviously I can't realize in City Skylines as of now, but I found this still very interesting. I forgot which city it was, but there is some planning going on to use like these kind of canopies over here, like hanging gardens they're calling them, in order to cool down the cities. I think it was somewhere in Spain. Was it Madrid or Barcelona or something like that? I can't really recall which one it was exactly. But basically what it is they have these canopies, and they have like moss and grass growing in there in order to get some cooling effects from the nature, and also equally use this as like a you know, emission saving thing, which obviously it does do photosynthesis in there and gets rid of the carbon dioxide in the air. So it's like a win-win-win for everyone. And I thought, you know, why not use that with the new netting pieces and the grass pieces? It looks phenomenal. I love it. The only thing we're missing, and you'll see that again, yet again, another little hint to the real-time part. You'll see that from below in the real-time part, we're missing out on some kind of soil pieces. Theoretically, you would need some soil in there, and in the real-life version, they do this via embedding this into the cloth that is basically the canopy. So the canopy itself has some minerals and stuff woven into the canopy itself, and there are also some little pipes in there in order to get some water in and get the water out equally. Obviously, I couldn't do that. We don't really have these thin pieces in here, so I went just with the canopies as they are. But I have to admit, they look fantastic. I really love it. I may use them throughout the zoo a bit more, simply because they are so cool. I think this is something very modern that you can maintain relatively easy. It makes a lot of sense. It looks cool from below. It casts shadow, but you still can look through it. You can actually feel how it also would work with cooling down the wind coming on from everywhere. So it just kind of cools down the breeze. Like, it's in general like a cool invention, and I really love how I could embed that into the habitat. So it does make the habitat feel a bit more green while not being more green inside of the habitat. So I think this really makes me happy. And then I went on and put some more of the very cool new lava rocks in. I just like them too much. I put some more snow effects in, but they also have a function. They act like snow cannons over here, and I put some drains everywhere. So the idea is that these snow cannons, they create like a cool area by putting down snow over here. Like obviously this is like fake snow, but it just, or is it actually fake snow? It is snow, but it's like man-made snow, if you will. And then once it's starting to melt, it will go down into the drains. The drains will give it back into the water purification system, and it will be brought back into the cannons themselves. So that way you have like a 100% circle in order to reuse the water you use for the snow. So also again, energy efficiency in the focus of this eco-friendly habitat, and then making sure that the inside is also a bit more stylized. As you can see, we are just working here on the last couple of things you need. Stuff like, as you will see in a second, the access for the staff members to the backstage area, making sure there's some snow. Very barebone, very simple, but that is just like how king penguins habitats are. I mean, I can't really do too much about it. This is just how they are treated and this is how their actual habitat in the real world looks as well. So there's not really that much to say about it, other than that I find they still have a very decent habitat in general. Like the ones I know from zoos, they are amongst the most boring habitats anyways, because it's just bare bone Arctic area that they have. So whatever, it's not really that much you can talk about. It's not like super interesting to look at from that point of view. So I think the habitat itself does a good job to make it look a lot more interesting than these habitats usually do look. But that said, it's time to hand you over to the real-time Rudi, and without further ado, enjoy that one. Alright, so we're standing at this beautiful spot over here, overlooking our eco-friendly Sicilian king penguin habitat. It's been a challenge, and I'm still not 100% sure if it's exactly what I wanted. I think it's pretty good, considering where I started off with and what this thing in the center has given me as a challenge. But I think it's pretty decent. I think we can agree on the fact that it does make sense in the way it is integrated into the into the Sicilian vibes over here. But let me just go down a little and have a good look to the underwater area. Look at this. It's so cool to see the people in the bubbles here, and then see the penguins dive, and you have this look to where they're standing on top. You can even have a better look under this wonderful overgrown little, is that what is this even? I saw that as like an urban design thing. I forgot where it was, but to cool the city. And I thought, you know what, that would work wonders over here too, wouldn't it? So it's kind of cool with the grass on top growing on here. Sure, there needs to be some soil in that. What I saw was embedded into the cloth that was below, but I went for the net structure, and it would be, we don't have anything that is as thin to use it over here. But yeah, so look at that one. Look at that. You're fitting almost fitting helmet over here. Oh, look at this. It's so cool. Really love that. Really love this. I actually struggled to get enough penguins with the basic fur pattern, because like with the mod I have installed, I get all the specific ones. But oh, look at the black one. Oh yeah, I love that. Yay, bam, there you go. Anyways, let's just move up a little. The pathing is not fully done. As I've said already in the time lapse, there will be a lot more to this area that makes it look a lot more finished. But for the habitat itself, I think it's pretty damn good now. Look at this vista over here as well. So cool. I love these shadings. I love these grass overgrown shadings. I think they are beautiful. I think they do the job, and they look cool. They make sense for over here, because it's usually like a bit more of a bit more a sunny region, and to keep it all cold over here, this is what you need to do, and get the old energy in here. Look at them, they are cold because of the freezing things over here. But yeah, as you can see, this is all good. Let me just go over here. Look at that, so cool. There's the cystic one, and there is another one with a cool pattern. Just really, I am in love with this habitat. In terms of the habitat itself, as I said, the integration into Sicily still needs to be better. Look at that door. And as you go over here, there's like another view, and I'm still very happy with this one. A couple of little things I need to fix to the roofing. I haven't fully found out what I wanted to use. Usually this concrete thing was meant to be the fix, but I forgot to keep it a single building, and now it is integrated into the entire roof, and I can't get thing out of it anymore, simply. But yeah, you know, the internal area should be very simplistic. This is what it should be with the king penguins. This is where they can go in. It's a bit more cool in here. It's all, you know, the doors and stuff. There need to be some gates embedded to keep it all more cool. But what we also have, and this is pretty cool over here, is let me just give you a look. Whoop, okay, I'm up here. Let's just fly in. This is where, like, you know, intentionally this is made like this, but in our imagination behind here is the internal area. So this is the entrance to that, and you can imagine that they can swim in there, and this is the backstage area. So all into the mountain side over here. That makes a whole bunch of sense. Under the whole stuff, we've got the pumping stuff over here going on. So I don't know, it's kind of thought out, and we also have the integration to the whole backstage area in here, which is not fully done yet, but it makes a whole bunch of sense that we have a lot of backstage integrated in the center axis over here, which goes all the way down here from the jaguar, and then all the way up to the hyenas and the other penguins. So it makes a whole bunch of sense. This whole area makes actually sense, and we'll reconnect with this over here, and then we are almost done with the general layout. And you know, the way it sits on top of here looks cool. I mean, looking from over here, it looks very nicely integrated. It doesn't feel like a problem. It looks really good, and I'm very happy with it. Yeah, just don't look at the pathway leading up here. This is just like a temporary fix to bring people up here. But yeah, so that is it for today's episode. I really do hope that you guys liked it. As I said, I needed to change a couple of things. I really do hope that you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you did, and if you did so, please ensure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, to help me get out of this misery of the momentual situation with Planet Zoo, and hoping that we are up to some more cool stuff in the future. I have a lot of things planned, so can't wait to share them with you, and hopefully you guys have an amazing weekend ahead. Stay safe, enjoy your time, and goodbye.